Inside Star Citizen Sprint Showdown. Always excited for the all sprint episodes because honestly, this is the way that you see progress in Star Citizen. Essentially, what the sprint showdowns are and what the monthly reports are what every other game company typically does when they do their updates. And it's like, hey, this is what we did in the last little while. So let's go ahead and watch this ISC Sprint Showdown. Hopefully it's good.
Star Citizen is a big game with big ideals, bigger aspirations.
What? It started off he just said game, big ideals.
Star Citizen is a big game with big ideals, bigger aspirations, and some of the very biggest spaceships. And while there's lots to do in the persistent universe,
and they definitely don't have the biggest spaceships. Like literally every other space game, the spaceships are bigger, right?
with more and more things being added to every patch, it's these spaceships that sit at the center of everything. That's why each year
we sell hundreds of different ones and sell them for thousands of different dollars. You know why? Because they sit at the center of everything. They are the most important thing. So let's go ahead and sell them and sell them and sell them and sell them some more.
Community votes big in our annual Ship Showdown.
Fuck me.
Your chance to determine the best.
It's this communication that is like the thing that scares me the most sometimes. I know we're starting off super negative. It's not going to be the case for the entire show, but that is there's two pet peeves from this episode that bother me, and I'm going to share my thoughts on it. The first one is ships cannot be the center of everything anymore. Otherwise, this game is going to be not good. That's my opinion. We've argued that a lot this week. And then the other one will be coming up shortly, I believe.
To the best and award the winners with new and exclusive paints. And since this year's event starts up on Monday in like 4 days, we've got a special all-vehicle sprint report for you this week. A sprint showdown, if you would. And we're going to start with a big look at the upcoming Drake Corsair, seen over the course of 2 consecutive sprints.
Okay. Now, I'm glad they're showing this because I was actually seeing people comment that they didn't think that they were working on this. I think it was Space Tomato, actually. That was like, they didn't even mention it in the monthly report. They did, and yeah, they're working on it.
As the ship moves through gray box phase, you can see the exterior detail beginning to take shape, as this sprint focused primarily on the nacelle and connecting areas of the starboard side of this asymmetrical vehicle to build them out so they feel properly big and chunky and structurally and functionally sound, as is the Drake way. Now, the lighter gray areas are the original concept mesh, which serves as a guide to artists to maintain the original scale and shape whenever possible. The Drake visual style is often about layering, with the interior structure poking out from beneath the more clad exterior, and as Graybox continues, it'll get closer and closer to the detailed mesh of the concept while maintaining the performance and optimization standards developed since it was first envisioned. Now, not every part of a ship moves through the pipeline at the same pace, as you can see here with the remote turret jumping from concept mesh straight ahead to final art, since it's a relatively small, self-contained, and not needing the same level of iteration part as the rest of the ship.
And should be on
And we also have this look at working out the landing gear, a hallmark of any gray box phase, making certain it's both stylish enough to maintain the manufacturer look, while functional enough so that the physics system won't topple the entire ship over. Unless the wind kicks up, or Burks lands it. Savage. And on the inside,
okay, what's that in reference to? Because Burks, as far as I know, is a good pilot, but there must be some meme because I don't watch Burks' stream very much. I don't get it. Hey, thank you for, Maybe it's a Burks video. Yeah, I don't know.
This sprint also
I just never got the reference. Like, why would he land poorly? Something must have happened. I just don't know.
Work on the crew quarters with a mix of gray box and final art work coming along quite quickly that's been enabled by efforts of team members from previous Drake ships.
Yeah, it just seems like a random shout out, which is fine. I just don't get the reference. I thought maybe you guys did.
And then 2 weeks later, after the conclusion of another sprint, you can see more additions made like the loading ramp, a combination of several pieces that fold down and extend out to allow access through the rear of the ship. And yes, it's big enough for an Ursa and other similarly sized ground vehicles.
Very nice.
Yay! Let's move up the ramp into the cargo hold, where the process of gray box is being tweaked to include material assignments, adding a bit of color to the otherwise gradient-only phase and allowing artists to better see and gauge shape breakout without having to dip into final art early, as can sometimes happen.
So do you hear it? Do you kind of see all the game devs speak and none of the, like, okay, the ship's making progress, let's move on kind of thing? This is the thing that I'm getting tired of, particularly with ISC, is I really want ISC to be, this is what I want ISC to be. It's never going to be this. This is the way they're doing things. I don't like this. I don't like the peek into game development as much. That's just my personal preference. I know a lot of people do, so I'm sure there'll be like some comments about this or whatever, but what I need, remember when they said that they were going to make videos for different types? ISC really needed for me to be not the game development update, but the game update. And game development updates could be in SCL or in the monthly reports and things like that, right? It's like we're repeating ourselves and just putting a video behind it. Like, this is basically the monthly report, but putting video behind it. I would like to see something that's more geared towards, here's the tangible things that we're making, and this is how we're pushing the game forward, and less speak about all the little nitty-gritty details about how they make the game. But that's just personal preference, and I don't enjoy it. And it's got nothing to do with ships. It's got nothing to do with anything. They do this in every aspect. I saw a lot of people complaining that this was like an all ship shape kind of episode. That doesn't bother me as much. It's more I feel like we can move on and have showed progress on the cargo refactor, showed more progress on things like salvage and stuff, right?
Here's another look at the landing gear 2 weeks on with improved animation and detail.
Like, this is a better example, I think, is they showed landing gear at one stage and then show it at another. Quick little bang, bang. Here we go. Your ship that you want is making progress. You know, there you go. That's the kind of stuff that I think is,
and perhaps most excitingly,
better for ISC.
This sprint was where the wings were attached to the finished nacelles, necessitating two separate attachment and transformation systems for each side due to the asymmetrical nature of the ship, which you can see here with these little doors that open to allow folding up and then close down flat when extended for maximum aerodynamics. You may also notice the thruster flaps are being made to extend and contract to adjust the amount of force being exerted. Gotta love that Drake functionality. So feedback during this sprint was to push for a greater diversity between the attached sensor rods from the concept and the mounted weapons on the wings, with additional considerations regarding the front-loading hangars on planets and stations and the potential adjustments that may need to be made to the wings. And, well, we're just gonna have to see how those things progress over the next few sprints. And while we're on the multi-sprint look at spaceships, let's check in with a little tugboat that could, the Argo SRV, which entered Gray.
This looks further along, but I guess this is Gray Box, right?
Gray Box phase with one artist on the exterior and one on the interior, and those eagle-eyed viewers may notice that the ship has grown just a little bit in the cockpit area to allow for the enter-exit animations from the pilot seat. And while we're in here, let's take a look at the early gray box phase of the inside. Yeah, you can see here
nothing about the way this ship looks matters to me. It's all about how and what are we going to use these tractor beams for?
For taking craft from the raft.
Is this how, disable ships, hold them in place? Piracy is going to work. When you come up to a salvage wreck, is it going to be moving? Can you keep it from moving with this ship? That kind of thing.
Especially in the aft. Because we're not daft. I should stop this graft before I get the shaft. Because no one laughed. And then 2 sprints later, we can see the SRV much farther along in gray box phase, getting all the main shapes in, beginning the discovery of material breakup, and really just refining the entire model overall. Yeah, you could say it's enough to make one shaft.
Dimmick gets it.
Sorry, I have a problem. To make up for that, here are some follow-up images of the Banu Merchantman from the same time as our Alien Week segment back in June. Mostly to showcase how important having the right FOV on your...
This should have been done the next day. This should have been done the next day after all that
camera
shit.
Is in avoiding duckbill platypus face. Same ship, correct FOV. Sorry, Ben.
I know, I got it for $250. What a fucking bargain.
And moving from ship to ship feature news, you can see here the first iteration of the vehicle's salvage HUD for the upcoming Vulture, Reclaimer, and more. Now on the left are all the details that are target relevant. The remaining...
I'm assuming it's black font because it's in some sort of an early stage. But just looking, God, hull stripping is so boring, dude. Salvage tool, cutter tool, retractor tool is the only thing that interests me there. This is not going to be a exciting sort of gameplay, even less exciting than mining, I feel like. But I hope the use case for it has a purpose at some point. The idea of whatever material you pull out of a ship has a value to other players or has sale value. Yeah, not everything needs to be exciting, but everything does need to have a point. And I'm not sure I get the point at the current stage of the game, but it does seem like down the line, repair ships are going to need this material, right? So I love the idea of hull stripping, but it kind of has to have the other side of it, which is the repair, which we know is coming in 3.18 as well, but it has to have repair with the proper advantages over going to a landing pad. Who here has refueled in the last month? I would imagine very few have used the refueling system with the Starfarer, right? Yeah. I'm sure you all have. Smile, you fucking idiots. But the thing is I really believe that those two things are going to be really fun. When possibly if Pyro is a place people want to go more than anything, but more than anything is when fuel actually has a gold sink level of cost.
Remaining surface area.
Same with repairs.
Your remaining cargo space and extraction rate. And on the right, things like type of nozzle, cutter, and tractor, the various attributes you'll need to manage, and present range. And then you can see their
attributes you need to manage.
And present
size, speed, efficiency. It looks like just temperature. What does efficiency even mean? And speed. Speed might be the speed at which things are coming in. Well, value surface is interesting, and I think they show it a little bit later. You'll get a sense.
And then you can see their first, still early implementation.
I'm glad they said still early because this looks awful.
In engine, as seen here on the Vulture, and then on the turret from a Reclaimer.
Okay, turret from the Reclaimer. Do you see the lines? So that's the salvageable surface, and then ship hull 99%, and then I think they go to the head.
Now, for how all this works,
later,
what
and
the
you
final
see
implementation looks like with a full UI
there's different
and
parts
VFX,
of the ship,
and with the internal functionality that ends with a nice.
And what I hope that means is you can cut off different parts of the ship, because there was a cutter tool that I saw as well.
Crate of materials that you can sell or trade. Well, there's still some time between now and the release of Alpha 3.18, so you can expect to see more as we get closer to release. And as a neat bonus, work on the gimbal system for hull scraping has led to new technology that may eventually change the way all gimbals work.
See.
What you're seeing here is variable drag and speed
that looks
based
like
on
ship
size and
could
weight,
be possible,
both for the gimbal itself and the item attached to it. What this ultimately means is more customization for players, allowing for faster, smoother gimbals with small...
See, like, efficiency changed. It was 80% here.
What this ultimately means is more customization for players, allowing for faster, smoother...
I wonder why. It looks like this, maybe the black area?
Gimbals with smaller, lighter items and weapons, and a potential removal of the size restriction for weapons on gimbals, letting players one day use them with weapons of a hardpoint's maximum size, with the requisite trade-off in drag and speed. It's a great example of work for one system potentially leading to improvements in another. And then, in preparation of one of the biggest Life in the Verse changes coming sometime next year, the Hammerhead just had a sprint retrofitting it with internal power relays.
Hell
yeah. A
yeah.
necessary component of the resource management system that is at the center of everything from engineering gameplay, life support, increased time to kill, on-site repair, and the foundational basis for true multi-crew gameplay. Now, there's still quite a journey ahead for resource management, but it's exciting to see the work beginning to get integrated into the persistent universe proper. Now, of course, those are just the updates on the ships that we can currently tell you about ahead of CitizenCon and IAE on this special Showdown
unannounced ships, those 3 unannounced ships.
Report. But maybe you're asking yourself, hey, Jared, Ship Showdown 2952 doesn't start for another 4 days. Surely you've got something more than spaceships to show us. Well, it's still a little bit early, but I suppose we can tease this look at recent tests of the UI card system, a brand new way to take building blocks and display it dynamically and diegetically throughout the...
CitizenCon is kind of far away, isn't it?
Persistent universe and Squadron 42.
Like,
just
it's months away. This looks amazing. This is my favorite one. Also, what is on top of the Argo? Is that always been there? This is just like, wow, elite dangerous. Right? You think it's a tractor beam? I would imagine, because it's a little cargo ship, right? This is my favorite, though. And here is everything to me. Put it all together, boys. Put it all together. He walked inside of a hangar. Let's not look at the way it looks, because everybody's going to have their opinion on the way it looks. But take in everything that's going on, okay? Take in everything that's going on. He is in a hangar. It looks like within Squadron 42, okay? And a UI just appears above him, right? And it's about a ship and what he can place and put on it. Well, what's the next logical thing that can go there? Managing your cargo. Refuel, repair, rearm. It's a customizable, very easily multifunctional system. Instead of, oh, we need to was there a cargo tab? I didn't even see. Like we need to make a new Mobiglass app, right? This is taking your Mobiglass, everything that's on your Mobiglass and all these stupid things and just putting it around you. So you're in the game world. You're not in a pause menu, right? That's a positive. Like let's just take everything in here and show why this is probably better. I don't like the wraparound necessarily because, all right, I'm looking over here. Now I have to turn my body and look over there to see these other things. But I think it's more the video that made it look bad. The person was like moving their head around mega fast for some reason. So it was just a very jarring experience. So I think that may be a little bit part of the problem. But in general, I think I like it because of its possible ease of bringing things that we need into the game. And I don't like the Mobiglass because the Mobiglass is a thing where you're just completely frozen and taken out of the game world. This keeps you in the game world. But it does. It looks really, really good. And I just look at, I'm in a hangar. I walk up, so think persistent hangars, right? This is a big step towards that. In your persistent hangar, you need to manage your ships and other things in there, right? So I like that kind of stuff. I don't care what it looks like. I care what its use case for is and how it pushes us forward towards the not the end game, but towards the game in the first place. And yeah, we'll see. But I'm sure they'll gather some feedback. And that's the one thing is I wish that they would allow us to get this thing and go, you know what? This is a really not fun experience having to move your character's head around to see the thing that you need to get to. But I more look at I'm in a hangar. I walk up to this thing and I just have this functionality here. They don't need to make a panel. We don't need props teams working on this. We don't need all this animation and voiceover. Dude, just give me something I can click and manage my stuff with. And that's what I see when I see this. So overall, I look at it as a positive. I don't necessarily see the need for the fancy 3D UI stuff. I'm more of a function over form kind of person. But in general, I just take a look at, again, that they walked up to something and it just appeared. I think that should be a lot more multifunctional than what we currently have. Oh, let's see at the end. Cargo here, avionics, shields, ammo, power plants, main engine, missiles, thrusters, guns. Cargo is the one that I think it is going to be the most interesting. I'm more curious about like when you change these things out, do like NPCs go to your ship and swap them out at some point?
So what did we learn this week?
Looks cool though.
Well, we learned that the Corsair, asymmetrical explorer from Drake, is making pretty solid progress through the ship pipeline. That ongoing work on salvage and hull scraping may yet lead to positive changes for the combat experience through gimbal improvements. That work is already underway, retrofitting some of our ships for the enormous change resource management will bring later next year.
What did you guys think of the gimbal improvements? I didn't even mention that. Gimbal improvements is something that, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I wonder how that is going to play out.
Super important if you don't want 36 duck memes of the Banu Merchantman. And that ship Showdown 2952 begins this Monday, and it's your chance to decide the best of the best over the following month. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee, here inside the performance capture stage, where characters from Star Citizen and Squadron 42 will be brought to life by tremendous performers as time goes on. We'll see you all here next week. Let me do a couple gestures like,
That was for the ships getting too big thing, which I did find that kind of funny. All right, ISC. So overall, I am just sick and tired of the look into game development, and the end was a lot better, right? The gimbal improvement thing was interesting, and I mean, we'll see how that plays out. And the UI stuff looks interesting. I don't know what else to say. It just comes down to, until I think we're touching and playing with those things, sure, it looks cool, but I hope that it opens up. Like, I just look at the game, we have to move forward. And if this helps us move forward, I'm for it. If it doesn't, stop doing stuff like this. Stop spending time making things look cool and spend time making things work. That's where I hope we're at. But overall, it looks pretty sick, and we'll see how it feels, the moving your character around to access those menus. And I mean, it's certainly sci-fi, right?